Hi everyone, it's Linda Brown, also known as Mrs. Brown Cooks, and we did an Insta story poll asking if you want to see veggie burgers or speedy lasagna, and it was really close, but speedy lasagna won the poll. So we are going to make a vegetarian lasagna, and the recipe can be found right here in our Good Food Real Results guide. So the guide looks like this. And Speedy Lasagna is found on page 97. You can also find recipes on my website, which is lindabrown.epicure.com. So we're going to start off by making the cottage cheese layer of the Speedy Lasagna. So we have 5 eggs cracked here in the bowl. I don't want to dump them out on you. And I'm just going to whisk them up using our piano wire whisk. Just like so. And we're also going to add a 3/4 cup of egg whites. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, that is a lot of egg in that lasagna. And it is, because when you follow our Good Food Real Results meal plan, each recipe has 20 to 30 grams of protein in it. The reason being is when we eat more protein, we're satiated longer, and that means we don't snack between meals, and it also helps build lean muscle mass. The important thing about not snacking between meals is that our body burns our fat stores, and we're not burning the Twinkie that we ate half an hour ago. So that's just a little tip for you, and that's one of the reasons why those that follow Good Food Real Results are having such extraordinary success. So we've got our egg whites added to the recipe, and now it's time to add the cottage cheese. So we need 1 1/4 cups of cottage cheese, and again our prep bowls have measurements right along the side, and if you fill it level to the top, you've got a whole cup of cottage cheese. Now I buy the big tubs of cottage cheese because a full cup of cottage cheese is a full serving of protein for me, and I like to build my Nourish bowls using the cottage cheese. Awesome. So now I'll just fill it up to the 1/4 cup mark. And add that to my egg mixture and just stir all of that together. Actually going to get my whisk back in there just to break up the cottage cheese a little bit. All right, so I like to add enhanced nutrition to my lasagna. This is not in the recipe, but we have nutritional yeast sprinkles. And nutritional yeast in Epicure world is high in vitamin B12. And I just want to caution you because a lot of people think that all nutritional yeast is high in vitamin B12, and that is not the case. Make sure you read your labels, because a lot of vegetarians and vegans buy nutritional yeast at the store because they need B12. It can only be found in meat sources. So read your labels, because our nutritional yeast, in this jar, you get 85% of your daily value of B12 per tablespoon of this Broccoli Bliss nutritional yeast sprinkle. So I'm just going to add a tablespoon of Broccoli Bliss to my egg mixture, and we'll just give that a stir. And you'll notice that I'm using these silicone utensils. These are so awesome because they are steel reinforced, and then they are dipped in silicone so they won't scratch your utensils. There we go. So the egg mixture is all done. So the next step that we're going to do is make our marinara sauce. So all I've done is taken a can of crushed tomatoes. This is a large can, and we only need 3 cups of marinara sauce mix for this recipe, but I'm going to make the full can's worth because I'm going to show you a tip to save time in the future when you make pizza sauce. So we're going to take our measuring spoon and we're going to measure 2 tablespoons of marinara sauce mix in with our crushed tomatoes. The recipe in the jar calls for half crushed, half diced tomatoes. But my kids, just keeping it real here, my kids do not like diced tomatoes. They like their marinara sauce mix smooth, which is the beautiful part about Epicure. You can totally adapt the recipes to suit your family. So I'm just going to stir this all up using my ladle, because the ladle is what I'm going to use to make the layers of lasagna, so why make another dish dirty? All right, so that's done. So the next component of our recipe is our ribbons of zucchini. And you'll notice I've got these nice thin slices of zucchini, and I've done that using our 4-in-1 mandolin. And you might be like, how is that a 4-in-1 mandolin, Linda? Well, let me tell you, we have these little inserts that we can put into the mandolin. So you'll notice that this one is a bit spiky. That's because that makes julienne vegetables. And if you want your julienne vegetables a little bit thicker, there's a thicker setting. And if you want thicker slices of zucchini, this is a 3.5 millimeter insert. So the one that I'm using is the 1.5 millimeter insert. So I've just taken my zucchini. Make sure you use your guard because that steel blade is nice and sharp. Just put the guard on my zucchini and then I just run it down the mandolin and you get that beautiful, nice, thin slice of zucchini. So we've got our zucchini noodles all cut up, and any leftover zucchini at the end, I just use that for a stir fry at the end of the week. All right, so I believe it is time to start building our lasagna. And we need to talk about lasagna noodles. So you can buy these oven-ready noodles. I have a slight challenge with these because when I snap them in half to get them to fit into my Epicure multi-purpose steamer, little pieces often go flying, and my dog likes to pick those up and eat them. So I'm always afraid that he's going to choke on a piece of lasagna noodle. So what I like to do is when these sheets of noodles go on sale at the grocery store, I just buy whatever ones are on sale, and they actually freeze really well as well. So I just stock up when they go on sale, and these are the ones that I use, and it just saves me a little bit of work. So the way that I get them to fit into my multi-purpose steamer is I just lay them along the bottom of my steamer. I grab my kitchen shears and I just cut them off like so. And then we've got perfect lasagna noodles to build our speedy lasagna. So we're going to take the lid off of the steamer and we're going to put about 1/2 cup of the marinara sauce mix in the bottom of the steamer. Next, we're going to layer in a noodle. Then we're going to add about 1/2 of our zucchini noodles, and then about 1/2 of the egg mixture. So I just pour that right in. And then another 1/2 cup of marinara sauce. So just kind of stir that sauce around a little bit, like so. And then we start with another noodle. The rest of the zucchini noodles go in, and I might have a few extra zucchini noodles, and that's totally fine. I'll just use those in a Nourish bowl for lunch later in the week. I'm all about cooking once and eating twice, sometimes 3 times. There we go. Now we'll do the other 1/2 of the egg mixture. Some more of the sauce. Stir that around. Now I put my last noodle in, and I just want to cover it with sauce. And then we cover that with about 2/3 of a cup of cheese. Mozzarella cheese, of course. So our lasagna is all assembled. So what we're going to do is put the lid on and we're going to cook that for 5 minutes. So I'm just going to go put this in the microwave. Now while that's cooking, we have this extra sauce. So here's what I do with my extra sauce. We have this awesome silicone iceberg mold, and it makes perfect half-cup servings. So what I like to do, and I'm going to do this over my cutting mat, is I just fill all of these wells with sauce. And the great thing about this ladle is that it scrapes the bowl nice and clean as well. And now I have 3 half-cup servings, and each half cup is perfect to make a homemade pizza. So this is how I make pizza in a flash for my kids, because that is their absolute favorite meal. So what's going to happen is our lasagna will be cooked for 5 minutes with the cover on. And now I've used these fresh lasagna noodles. So if you were using the oven ready noodles, you would take the lid off and then cook it for an additional 5 to 8 minutes. Because I'm using the fresh noodles, you only need to cook it for an additional 3 to 5 because they're already soft and they're going to cook nicely in the steamer in the microwave. So stay tuned for the finished product here on Instagram.